James Gibbons Macgregor.
Hello.
Teaches TouchDesigner, and today he's going to talk about what he's learned teaching TouchDesigner and how that influences how he teaches TouchDesigner. And I think it's an extremely interesting topic.
Hi everyone, my name's James and I'm going to talk to you about teaching TouchDesigner. So hopefully this will be relevant to all of you in some capacity, so people who are brand new to TouchDesigner. Hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of where the best place to start is, people who have experience, if you're considering getting into teaching, this could be some good pointers, and for the people who actually worked for TouchDesigner, some feedback from the students that I've had over the last couple of years about kind of what they struggle with when they first get into grips with it. Because at the end of the day, we all want more people to be using TouchDesigner, and I'm sort of right at the sort of front line of getting people into this stuff. So, yeah. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a freelance audio engineer, programmer, and AV artist and performer. My undergrad was actually in audio engineering, but then I sort of pivoted a little bit to study creative computing at master's level. I studied that at the UAL Creative Computing Institute, and I'm now a lecturer there, teaching specifically TouchDesigner, amongst a couple of other bits and pieces. I also guest lecture at a couple of other unis around London and the UK, and do private tuition as well. I'd estimate that around this point I've introduced about 500 people to TouchDesigner. Not all of them have kept using it, but I think a good number of them have. So yeah, I've seen a lot. But yeah, just to say, I don't actually have any formal teacher training. I kind of stumbled into education, really. So if there's anything you see that you think I should do differently, I know there's some other educators in here, I'd be really interested to get some feedback, because yeah, I really want to know how I can improve my methods. So yeah, just a quick note about me. As mentioned, I started learning TouchDesigner in about 2019 and then really got serious about it during the first lockdown, just self-teaching. Back then, obviously, there was a little bit less in terms of resources than what we have now. It was very much kind of YouTube tutorials, following along, that kind of thing. And yeah, TouchDesign's taken me to some pretty incredible places. I never thought I'd do a master's degree, to be honest. I did terribly at school. So to actually now be teaching at a university is pretty incredible. So what do I teach? So this is kind of the key information I'll always do sort of right at the very beginning, first time people are seeing TouchDesigner. Always make sure they've been told to download it ahead of class. The number of times we've had dodgy Wi-Fi and someone can't get it installed. I then just go over system requirements, get an idea of kind of what systems people are working on, what they can realistically expect out of their machines. Quick chat about the licenses, make sure they know about the sort of the free version, but also the educational version. And then show them Derivative, the website, point them towards the forums and all the really great sort of information that we have on there. Then, yeah, very quick overview of the user interface, just literally how to TouchDesigner, you know, place operators, click around, move around, connect things, all that kind of thing, start and stop. Start with tops, then chops, then sops. I find that's the best order. Tops, I feel like, are the most kind of approachable things to start with. And I always say, if you can get a rectangle top to move from side to side using an LFO chop by chop referencing, you're basically ready to learn TouchDesigner and you're away. The one thing I do always say to them is don't run before you can walk. There's so many amazing, really cool tutorials out there. The first thing they do, I find with my classes, they'll go on YouTube, TouchDesign tutorial, they suddenly have some insane particle system or some crazy complicated thing, and then they'll come back to me and say, I don't know why this isn't working. I say, do you understand it? They say, no. So I always say, start with the basics first, and as mentioned in my uni class, total ban on particle systems for the first 5 weeks, complete ban, not allowed. They don't listen to me. They never, ever listen to me, but I just like to at least try and stop them. So when I'm actually designing a class, this is just kind of a very sort of standard idea of what my first class would look like. This would either be first class at the uni, or if I'm doing a one-off event, say roughly 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, first thing, personal intro. Second is intro to TD. I make sure I show as many different projects as I can in the time frame. I work primarily in kind of audio-visual stuff, but I make sure I do a lot of stuff showing off work with installation, interactivity, a lot of P-comp stuff, so like working with Arduino. Just really show them all the things you can do with it. Then yeah, open it up, brief UI overview, as I mentioned, and then I have a pre-built demo project that I then build and have the students follow along, which kind of covers all the key areas. I'll show that to you in just a moment. Then we do a lab time, so I basically say, right, you've got your base, now go have fun with it, play around, just see what things do, move some sliders, see what happens. And during that time, go around one-on-one support to anyone who's got lost, and also kind of find out what people are interested in, so I can then come back and kind of give some more pointers about where to go sort of for progression. Then I show off an advanced project, normally of my own, just to show them the kind of higher level usage, to give them an idea of what it's going to look like when you get to the higher levels. And then, I've got a whole list of tutorials of various other people on YouTube that have good places to start and just sort of point them in that direction. So, the demo file. So, this is probably not going to look particularly unusual to a lot of you. We are basically just using audio as our sort of main control method, doing audio analysis, teach them a little bit about using chops and sort of channel processing. We have a little bit of information about SOPs here, just quite basic, creating a SOP, and then modulating it with noise, fractals, that kind of thing. And of course, referencing, chop referencing. We go to a geo, so I have sort of the basic kind of rendering setup that I then teach them. And then as far as tops go, we kind of just keep it to post-processing and kind of give them an idea of that. Because I always say to them, when you're just starting, your projects aren't super complicated or visually complicated. Post-processing is really important because it kind of takes it from here to here in terms of looking professional and looking something that you really want to show off in public. And so, I just go, basically, I build that from scratch in front of them, they follow along, and hopefully they get to a good point with it. These are the kind of big sort of key things that I found as well. So in terms of giving them what people actually want, why they want to get into TouchDesigner, first thing I do is I just realistically establish how much time I have in the class. TouchDesigner is a huge piece of software. I'm only going to be able to teach them so much. So I do try and focus in depending on the class. So the uni I teach at is more of an arts uni. So I really focus on installation, physical computing, sculpture kind of stuff. When I've guest lectured at more music-focused universities, obviously I'll talk more about audio reactive performance, TD Ableton, that sort of thing. Honestly, one of the things I found is I'm always impressed how quickly people pick this stuff up. I think if they're interested in TouchDesigner enough to be attending a class, they're going to have some kind of background in technology, or at least a basic understanding where they can really just pick things up. So I think in my early days, I was quite guilty of going too slow, holding people's hands too much, and just kind of let people go, and they will surprise you, I think. So this is where people struggle, I think, the most when they're first starting with TouchDesigner. Their projects get messy. You're thinking about so many other different things, learning so many different things. You end up with what I call TD noodles, where you've got lines going everywhere because they're not focused on structuring their project. They're just trying to get the stuff down, which is fair enough, but it's important to remind them, keep it clean so you can save yourself a lot of hassle later. Chop referencing, I find people really struggle with first. The idea of taking a chop channel and putting it somewhere in a completely different top and making it do something else. So every time I do that when I'm doing the demo, I really slow it down, break it down, and go, right, I'm putting this here and it's making it do this. Really plain, simple, basic language so people can get the hang of it. Viewer active can also, on the operators, can also really trip people up a little bit, so I just make sure I'm really clear on how that works, and often people are like, why can't I move this around? It's because you've got viewer active on. The render setup itself, especially for people who don't have much familiarity with sort of 3D software in general. So again, just spend plenty of time. The way I normally explain it is say I'm filming something for TV to go on a screen. There will have had to have been a camera involved to point at the thing we're filming, and there will have had to been a light to illuminate the thing we're filming. Exact same principle, it's just instead of an actor, we've got our geometry, or whatever it may be. SOPs as well, I find people immediately, I'll walk over and someone's fans are going crazy and they've got 2 million points somehow and they're running at 3 frames per second. So we just have to explain, keep an eye on your FPS, make sure you're not overloading your system, understand what your particular machine can do. And I avoid Python in the early stages, but I obviously make sure they know abstime.seconds because it just works for everything. Super really nice way of just kind of making things move from an early stage. So just a bit of feedback that I've had from students more recently. They've really been after kind of some fixed demo projects just collated in one place. I've been working on that personally, but I'd love to chat to the guys from Derivative about sort of how we could get a kind of repository for that stuff. And comment boxes and operator snippets. I've had a lot of people say to me they want a comment on each individual operator saying this is doing this, this is doing this, this is doing this. So I know I'm piling more work on you guys, but and also alternative language support, especially in Mandarin. I'd say about 80% of my class are international students. The vast majority are from China, and there are people making incredible things. The touch designer scene out there is huge as well. And I think, for various reasons, we maybe aren't exposed to it as much as we maybe should be. So I think also getting some language support in there would really, really help kind of push things forward even further. So just to close up, just why do I teach touch designer? So TD is growing massively. I mean, so in my first year teaching, I only had a few students who'd even heard of it at the beginning, and only a couple ended up using it in their final projects. This year, most of the students have either heard of it or have prior experience, and I've ended up with about half of them using TouchDesigner in some capacity, and then about another quarter using it with something like Unreal or Unity or something, alongside stuff. So the demand is getting really, really high, and the opportunity for training work and teaching work is getting larger and larger, and it is a really nice way of getting some extra income and also, upping your own skills in TD. I find that by teaching people, I've improved as a TD developer hugely, because you've got people coming to ask you questions about stuff that you might have not have even looked at yourself, especially these areas, around, I mostly work in audio-visual stuff, so, Arduinos, interactivity, AI and machine learning, web stuff, would have never really looked at it of my own accord, but, being asked about it and having to teach it has pushed me, and it's just really kind of just made me better with TouchDesigner, especially having to solve people's problems. I got a class of 100-odd students. I need to solve stuff quickly because there's a lot of problems and they need to be fixed very, very fast. And yeah, I've just met and collaborated with amazing people for you teaching through the uni, through the workshops I've held at various festivals, met some really lovely people. So why do I teach TouchDesigner? I believe it's genuinely the best way to get people into making digital art. You can get stuff looking good really quickly with minimal effort. And there's no intimidating code to put people off. So I think, if we think about the number of amazing artists out there who, might just see, I say this as someone who's incredibly dyslexic and always struggled with coding. I think having this opportunity to get people into making digital art in a way that's really approachable, really friendly is such an important thing. It's super, super cool. And because, as I always say, it's a Swiss Army knife. TouchDesigner is a Swiss Army knife. It can do everything, really. So you can get a whole wide range of artists. You can get sculptors, musicians. I've got someone who's just made an audio reactive dress with TouchDesigner. There are people doing incredible things in the whole art space. It's absolutely wonderful. And I get to help cool people make cool things. So if you want to see what I do, that's the link to my own Instagram. But UALCCI, which is the uni I teach at, we're doing a night of audio visual performances down in the Costa del Peckham. I'm going to be posting about it on there, and also just come say hello. Shoot me a message on Instagram. It'd be lovely to speak to all of you. Thank you very much.
Wow, thanks so much, Jamie. And you're fast.